Hey guys, welcome back to Libertarians React. I'm Brad Polumbo, she's Hannah Cox. We're the co-founders of Base Politics, and we do this series where we react to cringe content from a libertarian point of view. Today, Hannah, we're looking at David Hogg.
Not hot. This is going to be brutal. I tend to really hate his opinions on things, mostly because they're totally unfounded. So we'll see what we have in store. Tune in with us, see what you think too, and be sure to let us know in the comments.
All right, guys, so we're looking at some tweets from David Hogg. So if you don't know him, he's from Parkland. If you remember, there was that really tragic school shooting there. And he's one of these young people who made a real voice and a national platform for themselves, calling for gun control after that terrible incident in their community. And our heart goes out to this guy for what his community experienced. But it doesn't give him a free pass from critique and criticism, because he's now got over 1 million Twitter followers. He's all over the media. And he tweets some pretty stupid things about guns and the Second Amendment. So Hannah, firstly, let's look at this one. If you need a gun to feel like a man, you need therapy, not a gun. That's supposed to say therapy, but he spelled it T-H-R-E-A-P-Y. So if you need a gun to feel like a man, you need therapy, not a gun. Hannah, how do you feel about this one?
I feel disgusted by this one. I've said this on the podcast before. I cannot stand as a mental health advocate when people use therapy as a put down. I hate it. I think it
How is that woke?
It's not. It's beyond ridiculous. It's something that actually furthers like these really bad stigmas, and especially when it's directed at men who we're begging men in the society to go to therapy, right? Like begging them, because a lot of them I think could benefit from it, and then women would benefit from them benefiting from it. When you use it as a put down, you use it in this kind of like way to cut down people or go after their manhood, that furthers the social stigmatization that we already deal with, where men think that therapy is something like that's for weak men, which is the opposite of the case, right? Strong people go to therapy. People who want to get stronger even go to therapy. So I hate the premise first and foremost. I also think it's utterly stupid. I have always grown up around guns. My brothers, my dad.
You carry.
I carry, but even before I carried, I was always around men who carried. And let me tell you, nothing made me feel safer than having a man with me who I knew could defend us if needed, who could defend our home if needed. Like, it was a security to me. I think real men protect other people around them as well as themselves. So I love men who carry, and I think this should be encouraged. Of course, like we want men to take carrying seriously and take personal responsibility seriously, but having a gun is one of the best things you can do in society, I think.
Yeah. Here's this next one. It says, uteruses should not be more regulated than guns. This is the common talking point from anti-gun people, where they're trying to compare abortion and guns. It's a terrible comparison, because we're not going to get into the whole abortion debate now, but it's just not a good comparison, because one is a tool of self-defense, and the other, depending on how you see it, is either reproductive health care or the taking of a human life. So it's just apples to oranges from the get-go, but also they're not. There are plenty of gun-free zones in America. There are no uterus-free zones in America, other than, like, I guess the alpha male podcasts in their bedrooms, right? Those are probably, we did a video reacting to alpha male podcasters,
yeah,
that they're not getting many girls. That's probably a uterus-free zone, but by and large, you never have to pay to get a permit to have a uterus.
Nope, not yet.
Last time I checked. You don't have uterus-free zones. You don't have uterus control. Yeah, this always has seemed like a very dumb talking point to me.
It's a weird talking point. I also think for people like me, I'm a libertarian. I don't think uteruses should be regulated, and I don't think guns should be regulated. So I'm like, yeah.
You don't got me on that one.
You don't got me. Uteruses shouldn't be regulated. Guns shouldn't be regulated. You haven't made a point. Like, it's so funny. They always think they've got some like big mic drop on these kinds of things. You can tell they really just think they're like, got them. And it's like, this is the problem when you try to make arguments about politics and policy to people who you don't actually know, because you really don't know how to message.
He lives in an echo chamber. This next one proves it too. If you need a license to drive car, I guess he's saying drive a car.
This guy goes to Harvard.
Yeah.
He can't even tweet.
Harvard's not sending their best, sweetie. This is not your best. If you need license to drive car, cut hair, or to hunt, you ought to need one to buy a gun. Sweetie.
Honey.
We don't believe you should need a license to cut hair or to hunt.
Where to start? Right. Or drive a car even. I mean, some libertarians. I'm fine with
I think driver's licenses are probably legit. But, I'm with Gary Johnson on this one.
I have a driver's license, and I'm a terrorist on
so
the
do
road.
I believe gay people like myself should be ineligible from driver's licenses, but it's probably better than not having any basic requirement. I don't know.
I don't know. But regardless, we don't really believe in licenses, period, as a whole. So this is just another one where it's like, you think you got it. And actually, you brought up some points here. Like having to have a license to cut hair. You know what? That tends to hurt people of color, people living on the margins, every bit as much as having to have a permit to get a gun prevents them from exercising their self-defense. All these things do is block people from their own ability to determine their pathway and to make money and to protect themselves in their private property and in their personhood. So I just think, again, this is not well thought out. And I don't know how this guy became such a leader in this movement because he doesn't really make compelling points.
The mainstream media, they propped up these people from Parkland, these young people, and gave them this massive soapbox, and then frankly shielded them from any scrutiny and said anyone who criticized them was attacked as attacking a survivor. And it's like, well, hold on. Some people did straight up attack them. It's not what we're doing. We're disagreeing with them because you've made them public mouthpieces and had them start pushing ideology and arguments out into the public sphere. So then guess what? That invites critique. It invites rebuttal. We're actually showing them respect by engaging with their ideas. To just say, oh, just listen to survivors and don't question when they say wrong or dumb things is actually, I think, deeply condescending. And so I think David Hogg, the reason that you end up with this kind of massive platform, but terrible basement level arguments is when you exist in an echo chamber and are shielded from actual criticism. We couldn't get away with using extremely cheap talking points like this because people would call us out and disagree with us in the comments. And
we wouldn't have followers. This isn't good content. But I also want to say, as somebody who's worked on criminal justice reform and has worked with a lot of actual survivors of crime and violence, I really appreciate their perspectives. They're often people that I've worked with in things like overturning the death penalty. But I've also always said that while we should listen to their experiences, I think it's important to hear their perspectives, we should not base public policy merely off the opinions of survivors, because being a victim does not make you a public policy expert. It does not mean that you understand the exact ways that things should be structured to protect other people's rights. It often means that you're very emotional and may not see things clearly at the height of the moment. And so while I think that we should take into context what they believe and factor it in, I also don't like this idea of well, they went through this and so they should get to take your rights. No, it's the same thing in the criminal justice system. It's well, you have a victim here and so they should get to decide whether or not the state kills this person. It's no, that's not how we should determine matters of public policy, especially when it comes to things like people's actual rights and lives. So I just totally disagree with that narrative.
Well, that's about all the David Hogg tolerance and patience we've got for one day. So let us know what you think in the comments, like this video. Let us know who to react next. We take suggestions and we often do them.